And that's right, everybody. Welcome back once again to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. As always, I'm your host, Rob Kramer, joined by my co-host, the great Daniel Bobo Curlin, who apparently just dropped off on there for us a second ago. He'll be back with us momentarily. But up until then, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us here on this Friday edition of the show. Let me let Bobo know that he dropped off. All right. There we go. So, a lot to get into tonight, as obviously there's been so much that's gone on since our last show last week, where the New York Mets got, and Bobo lets me know that his Wi-Fi cut off. So, not good. But, all right. Either way, the New York Mets got knocked out of the playoffs. Didn't even qualify for the playoffs, that is, this past Sunday, where they had the 3-game series with the Marlins. They failed to convert. All they had to do was take 2 out of 3. The Reds ended up losing the final day of the season as well, but because the Mets lost, it didn't matter. All right, there we go. Just telling Bobo to try to get back on when he can. He said his Wi-Fi cut out, so we will keep you updated on what the hell happened with Mr. Curlin. Literally, exactly the second that we went live, he dropped off. But either way, he'll be back on momentarily with us. And so when it comes down to it, the Mets choked. But there is one team, however, in New York that did not choke. And that team is the New York Yankees. The Yankees, we'll get into it more when Bo gets here, but they had an absolutely, honestly, it's their biggest playoff series win. Probably, you could argue, since the World Series, since they won the World Series back in 2009. I mean, obviously, the New York Yankees got to the World Series last year, so I guess technically you could say when they beat the Guardians in the American League Championship Series last year, that that was the biggest playoff series. But there is an extra, there's a little bit extra when it comes to beating the Boston Red Sox. And, the Red Sox have had the last laugh on the Yankees the last couple of times. We all remember the 2004 ALCS where they erased the 3-0 deficit against the Yankees and swept their way to the World Series after that, winning their last 8 games of the year, 4 against the Yankees, 4 against the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. A lot of people seem to forget, too, talking to people this week, that the Red Sox also beat the Yankees in the first round of 2018. The Red Sox knocked the Yankees out in 4 games, winning 3-1 in that series. And, that was a really disappointing year, too, because the Yankees really had a phenomenal season. It was the first year under Aaron Boone. They won 100-plus games, but they didn't even win the division because that was the year the Red Sox won 108 games in the regular season on their way to a World Series championship. And, with that, the Red Sox had won 2004, 2007, 2013, and 2018 now. So it had been 4 World Series championships to the last time that the Yankees had won, a World Series. So it's been a long time. And the Yankees finally got some revenge on the Red Sox. They shut them out 4-0 to win the American League Wild Card Series, 2-1. First time eliminating the Red Sox from the playoffs since 2003. Just absolutely gigantic. I saw some Yankee fans trying to suggest that this might wash away 2004. I don't think that you can even begin to make that comparison. The 2004, it's the biggest choke in the history of baseball. And that's coming from a Met fan who watched 3 of the biggest regular season chokes in the history of baseball, with the New York Mets being 2007, 2008, and then you could throw this year right in there with it. But as for the Yankees, when it comes to the playoffs, 2004 is the biggest choke in the history of baseball. And, this series does not wash that away. In my opinion, it doesn't even really fully wash away the stink of the 2018 loss either. But what this does is it changes the narrative. This is what the Yankees needed to do. You were talking to Yankee fans from, I heard them on WFAN, I heard them on ESPN radio, I heard, all these Yankee fans talking, and basically every single one of them said they were going to lose. Any Yankee fan you wanted to talk to, there are multitudes of them that said that there's no way the New York Yankees can or will beat the Red Sox in this series. They were saying it's a ridiculous thought to begin with, that there's no way the Yankees could compete with the Red Sox. And I found that ridiculous too, because I understand, look, as I mentioned, obviously, you're talking to a Met fan here. I understand when it comes down to having no confidence in your team. I mean, especially, anytime the Mets play the Phillies, anytime the Mets play the Braves, you talk to me, and I'm not going to be sitting here singing the Mets praises going into it. I will if they win coming out of it, but going into it, depending on how recent history has played out, there's always going to be something in the back of your head that kind of leaves you a little bit scared of teams that have had your number in the past. So I understand why Yankee fans would not have had the utmost of confidence that they were going to get anything over on the Red Sox. The same way if you talk to a Red Sox fan back in 2004, prior to them erasing the 3-0 deficit, the Red Sox fans would have said the same thing. There's no way we're going to beat the Yankees. What are you talking about? But then it happens, and it kind of snaps you out of the doldrums of not believing in your team. And then you realize, hey, just like I said a second ago, the narrative has now officially changed. You remember, if you're old enough, back in 2003, they were calling the Yankees the evil empire. The Yankees were buying up everything. That's why if you saw the post that we put up on Instagram, the little YouTube thumbnail we used for today, was the Empire Strikes Back with the Imperial March. That this is the Empire striking back. The Yankees getting the upper hand once again on the Red Sox. And look, I'm not a Yankees fan, but this is it was definitely something that even if you didn't see it coming, this is something that's been building. The Yankees have a good team. The Yankees have been playing good ball for quite some time now. They had their bad spell in the middle of the season, culminating with that 4-game sweep in Toronto that essentially cost them the division. And basically what it comes down to is that the Yankees righted the ship. They did what they needed to. They brought in a couple of extra pieces. We saw a guy they brought in at the trade deadline in Ahmed Rosario getting the giant hit that really started this whole rally. And it came down to a lot of defense again, too. It came down to balls that just were out of the reach of Red Sox gloves. And that's what we see going on with the Yankees at this point right now. The mojo is in their favor. And, when you're talking about mojo and you're talking about the Yankees and the Red Sox and everything, there's a history behind that right now. And when you go back and look at what the Yankees and Red Sox have, every time they've locked horns, so to speak, with the playoffs or playoff berth on the line, it's only coming into this year, it's only happened 3 times in the history of baseball where the Yankees have been the direct reason why the Red Sox season ended, outside of, maybe a close series at the regular season that keeps them out. I'm talking about playoff implications right here. 1978, Yankees beat them in the Bucky Dent game and went to the World Series, beat the Dodgers, World Series championship. 1999, Yankees beat the Atlanta Braves they beat the Boston Red Sox in 5 games in that ALCS, advanced to the World Series, beat the Braves 4-0 to once again win the World Series championship. And in 2003, we all know that incredible 7-game series that year in the ALCS, which for all intents and purposes, that in a lot of ways, I might like that series. Even look, at that time, I was rooting for the Red Sox. So 2003 was kind of brutal for me. And 2004 was awesome watching the Yankees blow that and the Red Sox come back. But, as for, and looks like we are having a a guest join us right now. My co-host, Daniel Bobo Cramer, is back with us.
Yeah,
Buddy.
yeah, I'm sorry about that. I just had there was a bit of technical difficulties there. I just had to get Mars to fix that, and he had to take a little walk before he could get that stuff fixed. Linger
If you're
longer.
going to linger longer for that one, absolutely. Absolutely. But real quick, Dan, I know you didn't really miss much. We were talking Yankees talk, so I know that's not exactly your bag anyway. But before we get back into that talk, how you doing today, man? What's going on with you?
Dude, do, doing good. I'm doing good. It feels weird. Not watching baseball just feels weird because I literally just up until the that last little week felt like I was gonna be all but sure that the last couple of days I was gonna be watching the Mets, and I just it feels weird getting seeing that email that saying that my refund is gonna be processed soon for the division series tickets.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And we'll definitely get into the Mets talk in a couple of minutes. But, real quick, too, while you're also bringing that up today, how odd is it that we've had baseball literally every single Friday since the end of March? And now, where the playoffs are officially underway, because of the stupid way that they set this up and all this nonsense, they literally have no baseball tonight at all. How do you not have the schedule balanced where there's not one game at least on the first Friday of October for baseball? I don't get it.
Yeah, that I don't know. That just doesn't make sense. That feels odd too. Not there being a single game happening because I'm always because even though my Mets not make it, I know my grandmother wants to watch all the games going on, so I'm trying to help her find what channel the games are on, and it's weird that I'm not doing that on a Friday. I'm trying to help my grandmother figure out what channel the games are on.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true. It's definitely true, man. So yeah, while you're joining us now, we were talking some Yankees and Red Sox. Obviously, we saw that the Yankees ended the Red Sox season last night with their 4-0 win in the Bronx. They advanced to play the Blue Jays now in the ALDS. But Dan, I was bringing up the fact that the Yankees have, as you can see on the bottom there, the Yankees have ended the Red Sox season in 78, 99, and 03 directly. Now this year included in that too. And every time the Yankees have knocked the Red Sox out, uh, it's they've advanced to the World Series. And for all but 2003, they won the World Series. So uh, I would say if you're a Yankee fan right now, and I know uh, people might be going a little bit crazy. I heard Yankee fans saying that this washes away 2004. I could not disagree with that more. But I understand Yankee fans are feeling good about themselves. It's the first time they've knocked the Red Sox out in 20 years, so they should feel good. And if anything, it's definitely a good sign for the Yankees right now.
Yeah, it's a good sign. At the same time, when we look at those other three things, the playoffs weren't as long as those as they are now. So
True. It's a good
so
point.
it's a lot different circumstances as it is back then. So and
True.
plus the
And also to be fair, 99 and 03 were both the LCS. So the next round was the World Series anyway. But it does stand to mention that the fact that, the three times the Yankees have knocked the Red Sox out, they've gone to the World Series every time.
yeah is a note to happen, and
Yeah.
of course the Yankees probably are going to. I feel like they're about to face the toughest competition they're facing in the playoffs. Is going to be this series.
Well, they could. They could. I mean, unless they play the Dodgers in the World Series again, you're definitely right about that. The Blue Jays are definitely going to be a real tough customer for the Yankees. But before we start talking about that Blue Jay series, Dan, though, I do want to give one last little shout out to this the end of this Red Sox series, where we got to talk for a second about Cam Schlittler, however you want to say his name. He flushed the Red Sox season right down the Schlittler last night as he shut them out. 8 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 12 strikeouts, most by a Yankee pitcher making his playoff debut all time. So, I mean, this kid, Dan, the visions that we had in our head of what Nolan McLean could do in the playoffs, given the opportunity, Cam Schlittler took that last night and absolutely ran with it. What a phenomenal game this kid had. And we knock Aaron Boone a lot for pulling pitchers early. You got to give a lot of credit to Aaron Boone for leaving him in too.
Yeah, you have to give credit. You have to give credit to that to leaving him in, and it just shows what happens if you just stick with your guns sometimes when you realize these pitchers are having a good outing. And
Yeah,
I hope to see that. Maybe Carlos Mendoza could take a page from that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And even maybe Aaron Boone can learn from his own mistakes, as everybody that I talk to, and especially myself. When I was watching the game the other night, and he pulled Max Fried, the second he pulled Max Fried, the first thing I said was, I was sitting there watching with my brother-in-law, and my response was, "Oh, you know who the happiest person or the happiest people in the building are that Max Fried's coming out of this game right now? The Boston Red Sox bench." Because that just gave them a breath of fresh air. So I'm definitely with you on that, Dan. Maybe Boone learned a little bit from his own mistake, and but absolutely phenomenal postseason debut from Ken Schlittler there. And now, Dan, now the Yankees get set for the Blue Jays in the ALDS. It's going to start up in Toronto. So this is the first time the Yankees and Blue Jays have ever played in the playoffs. So this is going to be an interesting one. Sky Dome can really pack it in up there, Dan, or whatever they call it these days. I don't think it's actually Sky Dome anymore.
I still call it Sky Dome. As a matter of fact, I know some people in Ontario and they still call it Sky Dome. They still call it Sky Dome. I hear
that's true. Actually, I just remembered it. It's Rogers Center now. They call it, but that's ridiculous. It's always going to be the Sky Dome, just like you said. And so they can really pack it in up there. They're probably going to have 50,000 plus at this game. So it's going to be a lot of people there. It's going to be highly anticipated. And it's going to be a pretty good matchup, too. In game one, the Yankees are actually throwing out Luis Gil, or Heel, however you say his last name, going against Kevin Gausman. Gausman's had an up and down year, but for the most part, you see he's 10-11, 3.59 ERA. He's been a very valuable pitcher to the Blue Jays over the last couple of years. And Luis Gil, 4-1, 3.32. The series kicks off tomorrow afternoon at 4:08. So it's going to be a big one for the Yankees, man. Winning one of these first two games in Toronto is imperative for the Yankees. You cannot go back to New York 0-2.
Yeah, exactly. That's gonna be a key. That's gonna be a key thing in one of these two games. Especially in this short series, it's gonna be very key.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Also, while we're here, I want to give a shout out to our buddy ZZ hanging out in the chat, saying how you doing, Bo?
I'm doing good right now. Pretty much in this weird injuncture, the counting of days until hockey season.
That's true. It's only days away, and he is right. Speaking of hockey, too, America versus Canada when it comes to Yankees Blue Jays. So it's going to be time to blame Canada, depending on what happens there for the Yanks. Thanks for hanging out with us, ZZ. We appreciate it. And so big game one matchup there for the Yankees starting tomorrow afternoon. And man, that's that's definitely gonna be must-watch baseball if you're not sick to your stomach about it, like most Met fans are. And speaking of that, Dan, let's turn our attention to the Mets for a couple of minutes. We won't spend that long on them because, unfortunately, they're not in the playoffs. There's really not that much to talk about, at least for the next couple of weeks. Just a few housekeeping things as the Mets, look, the Mets completed the collapse. They choked in Miami. They lost 2 out of 3. Even with the Reds losing on the final day of the regular season, the Mets still could not take advantage of that. And then we saw the Reds go to LA and get their heads kicked in for 2 games. See you later. That was good to see at least. But it just is another thing that us Met fans have to deal with now, where when Steve Cohen took over and all the great success this team had last year, it really felt like we turned a corner. Like the Mets were no longer going to be the punchline, the joke. And even if we still were second fiddle to the Yankees in this town, because let's face it, they have 27 championships. They make the playoffs every year, so I get it. I thought the Mets were going to start gaining some ground and getting a little bit more respect. And boy, they flushed that respect right down the toilet in epic fashion with this awful season.
Yeah, this was just a horrible. It was just PTSD. I didn't want to have to go through this a third time. A third time I've gone through this. And the crazy thing is, all three times that this kind of thing happened, I would have had playoff tickets. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. All three times to the same damn team, to the point that I get annoyed every time we face Miami in September, because they seem to always become nuisances in September. I don't know what it is. September, they just become a nuisance. And the other time of year.
Let's be fair. At the end of August, too, the Mets lost 3 out of 4 of them at Citi Field. That started this nonsense too over the last month. Even though you can look back and say it really started on June 13th. But Dan, you're also focusing on 07, 08, and what's it called? And this year, the Mets have had more collapses than that too. Let's not forget the last 5 games of 1998, where the Mets, all they had to do was win one of the last 5 games and make the playoffs. That didn't work out. They lost all 5 games. They got swept by the Atlanta Braves. They missed the season that year. They almost collapsed in 1999. They had a 7-game losing streak right around the same time and almost collapsed. Thank God they didn't blow that one. And then we're going to fast forward a little bit, 2021. Let's not forget 2021. A lot of Met fans put that one out of their mind, but they led the division for most of that year. And they didn't even finish 500. They made these trades. They picked up Javi Baez. They did this crap, and they still choked. Then 2022, also, let's not forget that. They blew the division and then didn't even make it out of the freaking wild card round. They won 101 games and got knocked out by a team that won 89 games. And then also, 2023 just never even got off the right foot. That one stunk. But, the Mets have the collapses we've been forced to watch from this team over the years is just insane.
Yeah, it's been insane. And some of these I had the unfortunate of seeing some of these games down the stretch in person. Of course, 07, 08, I was at those games. I think 98, I was at all those games down the stretch. So I unfortunately saw it in person when I was thinking, me and my mom. I think some of those games, I think my mom was with me. We're thinking we're going to get to see the Mets get in person, and then somehow that 199 didn't end up in a disaster. And I was at that game at the end. I saw.
Yeah, you were at the game with the wild pitch. I was actually at the game the night before that Rick Reed threw the shutout, and the Mets won 7-0. So yeah, luckily 99 worked out for us, and that's also because the Reds also choked down the stretch on that one. But yeah, man, it's crazy what this team has done to us. Also, real quick, shout out to our buddy Disabled Officer. Hey guys, hope I'm finding you well. Thank you for your sports talk podcast. Excellent. We appreciate it, Disabled Officer, right, Bo?
Yep, exactly. Much appreciated.
Thank you for your service, by the way, too.
Yep, exactly. Thank you for your service.
And yeah, man. So when we keep looking on here now for the Mets, now the only thing we can do is see what their plan is going forward. We have plenty of criticism of this team. We have plenty of barbs we can throw at them. We have plenty of stuff we can knock the owner for, knock the president of baseball operations, the genius David Stearns. But this is what we've been told so far, that they are going to be keeping Carlos Mendoza in place. I know, a lot of Met fans have had a problem with that. Carlos Mendoza, he signed a 3-year contract when he first came here. So the Mets are going to honor that and allow him to work on this year. But they didn't give him an extension. So basically, Carlos Mendoza is going to be on the hot seat all year. unless the Mets got off to a really hot start and kind of not secure their playoff spot early, because you could say that this year there were 21 games over 500. Everybody thought it was secure, but you know what I mean. Get out ahead, don't blow it. Unless that happens, there's going to be a lot of talk about Carlos Mendoza being on the hot seat this year, and one bad stretch, people are going to look to get his ass out of here. So Carlos better be looking over his shoulder, because there's going to be some people gunning for his job if the team isn't playing well next year.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be another thing. Another key thing that's going to be next year is, I think there's one thing we could start with. Of course, hopefully re-sign Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz. That's two things, that key things he needs to do. The other thing, assess the pitching. We have a young rotation. We have a good young rotation. If there's anything available via trade, maybe maybe take a look at what's available in free agency and what's available via trade. If that's available, make use of maybe something you have a surplus of. Like maybe you have a surplus of shortstops that you could take care of, because how many people are you going to have? Because there's a log jam there at shortstop, so you might need to make a trade for that.
No doubt about it.
Bring in some pitching.
Yeah, but also too, Daniel, we have to remember too. I think a lot of people right now just are kind of penciling in McLean, Sprout, and Tong in the rotation next year. I'll tell you this much: Tong is not going to start the rotation next year. And realistically, when you look at it, there's a chance Brandon Sprout won't either. Brandon Sprout is definitely going to be in the competition leading up to the coming out of spring training, I think. But realistically, if you look at it, let's take a look at the Mets rotation real quick. You got Clay Holmes is a guaranteed spot, and for the most part, Sean Manaea has a guaranteed spot too, as long as he's healthy. So right now, if you're going to pencil those two guys in, that's 1 and 2. 4 and 5. Then you also, because we're going to work backwards here, so you say, okay, Nolan McLean slots in, let's just say 3. That leaves 2 more spots. You have Kodai Senga, who are the Mets going to trade him? Are they going to keep him? Who knows what's going on? So that's 4 spots. So you really only have room for a 5th. And are they going to give that to Brandon Sprout? Who, look, I like Brandon Sprout, and I want him to get a shot. But I'm sorry, as much as I like Brandon Sprout, the Mets need to bring in a veteran ace type. And whether that means they got to get rid of Senga, whether that means they got to, bite the bullet on Manaea, get rid of Manaea, whatever the deal is, I want Sprout in the mix for a rotation spot early. But I also, the Mets need, because also, too, I forgot about David Peterson. David Peterson's in this mix, too. So you have to remember, Dan, all the guys we just mentioned are going to have a spot. So Tong's not going to be on the rotation to start the next year. Sprout probably isn't going to be immediately. And we will see both of those guys at some point. But if we're looking at contracts and everything, unless David Stearns goes crazy and starts making some moves where guys that we have under contract are getting moved, there's really not much room to bring in more than one big-time pitcher. And even if you do that, you're still going to have to move some guys around in order to make that happen. And on that thought, I wanted to bring up Zizi, our buddy hanging out in the chat, said, I think next year's Mets team is going to be something special after what happened. They're going to make crazy moves this offseason and not just signing superstars. I agree with that. I agree with that, Dan.
Yeah. I just feel like Steve Cohen's not going to stay put this offseason. They know they got to make a big swing, a big thing to respond to this.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And
exactly. And I think the key thing to do when they bring in a pitcher, bring in someone that's actually been had consistent years of throwing that many innings. Because I feel like that's something that's done us in, is the pitching that's not acclimated to throwing this many innings.
Yeah, well, look at David Peterson. You're absolutely right. David Peterson, I know a lot of Met fans are down on him right now. I know. But let's be honest. David Peterson is going to be a good part of the Mets rotation for at least the next couple of years. I mean, I know he's only under contract for one more year, technically. Isn't it crazy to think that David Peterson is only a year away from becoming a free agent? That's how long he's been at Major League level already. But the fact is that David Peterson ran out of gas this year. David Peterson hit a wall. We got to remember he only threw 120 innings last year, and that was a career high. He threw 170 innings this year. So he passed his career high by over 50 innings. And you got to remember, too, he didn't really pitch much down the stretch. How many innings did he get over the last, month of the season? Less than 4? I mean, he was getting knocked out early every time he went out there. So he was 50 innings over his limit or his career high going into September. So he didn't have anything left in the tank. It's not an excuse. It's definitely not an excuse because I don't excuse him for that whatsoever. But you have to understand these things happen. But, I think one thing, Dan, is that you have to take into consideration that next year, hopefully he won't hit that wall. But now, just like you said, too, Sean Manaea, he threw significantly less innings this year. So who knows what's going to be going on with him? Same thing with Kodai Senga. I mean, Kodai Senga, how many innings did he throw this year? So when we're looking at these guys, the one guy, too, actually, oddly enough, who never really went deep, that threw decent amount of innings this year that maybe we can rely on deep next year is Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes ended up throwing 165 innings this year, which, we got on Clay Holmes at times this year, but we got to give him credit. He had a pretty damn good season. And on top of that, actually, Clay Holmes ended with a 3.53 ERA, number 10 in the league, in the National League. So he finished as a top 10 ERA qualifier.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing about Clay Holmes is we have to excessive. He's maybe more better suited for being out of the bullpen.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that I don't think that he's better suited for the bullpen. I mean, I understand. Let me tell you this, Dan. I understand what you're saying, and that's the reaction a lot of Met fans have. Bullpen. He threw the Mets had him come out of the bullpen at the very end of the year, but still in a semi-starter role. Clay Holmes is not coming out of the bullpen next year. He's a starter. He's got the starter locked in. This is something that David Stearns, it's really the only thing you can point to that even went kind of right this year for guys that he brought in outside of Juan Soto, because I don't give him credit for that. I give Steve Cohen credit for that. But, it's really the only guy that worked out. He is not going to the bullpen. He is staying in the rotation. And, unfortunately, he got a 3-year deal. So he will be in the rotation next year, whether we like it or not. There are some guys that won't be here next year, Dan. Let's talk about this real quick before we move on. And we found out there's going to be a big shakeup in the Mets coaching where Jeremy Hefner, this really shocked me. None of the other guys we're going to talk about in a second, except maybe John Gibbons, was a little surprising. But Jeremy Hefner being fired or parting ways with the Mets really, really surprised me, because this is a guy who has been the leader in what the Mets consider their pitching lab to get guys right, which we all heard about last year ad nauseum with Luis Severino and Sean Manaea and Jose Quintana and all these guys that had that success last year. Jeremy Hefner got a lot of credit for that. And the quote-unquote pitching lab they set up down in Port St. Lucie to help fix these guys or address any problems. Jeremy Hefner was a big brain behind it. So it's kind of surprising to me that they fired him. This is a guy, don't forget, Dan, Jeremy Hefner was hired when the Mets hired Carlos Beltran as their original manager prior to the 2020 season. And obviously Beltran got railroaded by Major League Baseball. So we never even got to see him manage a game. We just see that genius Luis Rojas for the next 2 years. But, when it comes down to it, Jeremy Hefner has made it through how many different regimes now here. Jeremy Hefner was here for Carlos Beltran. Jeremy Hefner was here for Luis Rojas. Jeremy Hefner was here for what's his name? Buck Showalter.
Buck Showalter.
And Jeremy Hefner was here for obviously Carlos Mendoza. That's 4 managers that he has been here for, and it's very surprising to me that they got rid of him. They also axed hitting coach Eric Chavez, assistant hitting coach Jeremy Barnes, John Gibbons, the bench coach, and Mike Sarbaugh, the third base coach. Is there anybody in here that shocks you more than anybody, Dan?
No, it's more to Jeremy Hefner, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think? Do you agree with Hefner getting fired? Do you agree with any of these guys?
No, I don't really agree. The only one I don't agree with is Hefner.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I really feel like maybe they need to consider, I don't know if that'll happen, but maybe bring in JD Martinez as a hitting coach.
I wouldn't mind that. I heard a lot of people bringing that up this year too. Yeah, I mean, even if you want to bring him in as like in the Jeremy, like maybe okay, he's never been a coach at the major league level before, even at the minor league level. Actually, now that you mention it, but maybe you start him off in that Jeremy Barnes role. Maybe he comes in as the assistant hitting coach to whoever you bring in. Which, by the way, I don't care what the guy I want as the Mets' next hitting coach, pitching coach. I don't know. I don't know who they're going to bring in. I don't really have a feel for who they're going to go after. But the guy I want for the Mets hitting coach is Kevin Long. Kevin Long is a great hitting coach. Kevin Long is the guy that turned Daniel Murphy into a superstar 10 years ago, and the Mets let him walk because the Wilpons were cheap bastards, and the Mets are just an organization that lets talent walk out. Kevin Long needs to be brought back. He's the Phillies hitting coach right now. Look how good those guys have done. Bring Kevin Long back at all costs. I don't care what you have to pay this guy. Bring him back.
Yeah, exactly. They should. That's one I could definitely be on board with in bringing him back. I feel like the Mets seem to have their bats were right there during the previous time he was the Mets hitting coach. Maybe they take a chance and bring him back, see where it goes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And he's had success everywhere he's gone, Kevin Long. Kevin Long was with the Yankees, with the Nationals, the Mets, the Phillies, and he's been great everywhere he's gone. Bring him back. And he was with the Nationals before they sucked. So let's leave that there. And all right, last thing on the Mets before we wrap up. Pete Alonso announced that he will be opting out of the final year of his deal, a 24-year option season that the Mets are, that they came to an agreement last year for. Mets got to figure out a way to bring him back because I don't. There are 2 guys that there will be a fan, especially after the way this season went. There will be a fan revolt if they let Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz go. I'm talking to you right now, David Stearns. You find a way to bring this guy back, or there will be hell to pay. If you thought that it was so great seeing 3.1 million people stroll into Citi Field last year, the most that's ever happened at Citi Field and the most that the Mets have had since the 2007-2008 seasons at Shea Stadium, the 2 final years at Shea, you won't even get close to that number next year if Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz are not on this team. So do yourself a favor and bring both of those guys back. I don't care what it costs for any of them. I don't care if Pete Alonso wants $200 million. Give it to him. I don't care if Edwin Diaz wants $25 million a year. Give it to him. We got the richest owner in sports. I don't give a shit, especially after what we saw this year. And don't think Met fans are going to sit here and say, well, we signed Juan Soto last year. No, this is not the Wilpon era. I don't care that you signed Juan Soto last year. You better spend some effing money.
Yep, exactly. Pay the man. Pay the man.
You got that right.
And pay the man. And speaking of Pete Alonso, I would like to say we would love to have you one day on our show, Pete Alonso.
Yes. Pete, you have a full invite here, and don't take that lightly. You have a full invite to come here whenever you'd like. And Yeah, so that's going to do it with the Mets. Yankees getting set for tomorrow. Mets don't have a game for 6 months, so we'll keep you up to date on all that. Let's turn our attention now, Dan, to some football. We'll start off with your New York Football Giants, who had a hell of a victory this past Sunday. I accidentally put the Giants at 3-1. I don't know what year I thought it was, but the Giants started off the year 0-3. Wasn't looking too good, but the Giants got such a great feel-good win against the Chargers. The Chargers are 3-1 now. Giants are up to 1-3, 21-18 at MetLife last year. You could not ask for a better feel-good win right now for the Giants, especially that it came in Jackson Dart's first career start. He goes out there and accounts for a couple of touchdowns, helps bring the Giants down the field to get to put the game in their back pocket. And hey, if you're a Giants fan right now, Dan, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about this one. The offense was finally there. It was finally clicking. Cam Scatterboo is turning out to be maybe the steal. I feel like the big steal of the NFL draft. And the only and I feel like the defense made some key plays. The only thing is, I wish the offense maybe needs to shore up a little bit in trying to leave the door open for the quarterback to take too many hits. I feel like, because the last thing I want to see is Jackson Dart get hurt like so many other quarterbacks have happened with this team. Another thing I gotta say, specifically to ownership of the Giants, and I guess maybe the decisions and stuff. I think it's a code maybe deals with two different ownership groups that run MetLife Stadium, both the Mariners and I guess even the owners of your team there. Figure out a way to switch to natural grass, because the MetLife Stadium turf just claimed another victim in Malik Neighbors out for the season, and I was just cursing at that dumb, stupid, fake that carpet in MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, but don't worry, Dan. They're going to change it to grass in a couple of years when they have the World Cup here, because they care more about soccer players than they do their own football players who get hurt every single effing year in this stadium.
Yeah, that is shocking. They're going to switch to natural grass. I haven't heard yet if they're going to still keep that grass surface during the NFL season, or they're just going to immediately change it back to the carpet in time for the season. I haven't heard yet, but if that's the case, that they're going to have that, it's going to be a situation where they're going to try to see how the grass turns out during the year. I will be glad about that. To see it. We'll have natural grass at MetLife Stadium for once. But yeah, it's still whatever they do, it's a little bit too late, because now the question is, will Malik Neighbors be able to return next year? Because I've seen this grass surface claim too many victims.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he will return next year, but the question is, how explosive is he going to be on this knee next year after this problem? Sometimes it takes a guy, sometimes you see a guy come back from this type of injury, and it's boom, he is exactly the same guy he was when he left. And sometimes you see a guy come back from the injury, and it takes him a little bit to to get back in the flow of things. J.K. Dobbins is one guy that kind of sticks out to me. He's a guy that last year looked like he was just a little bit off, and then boom, came back. He looks like a different player this year again. So even Saquon, you could say when Saquon had his big injury, and he ended up coming back, when he was with the Giants, that first year back, he didn't really look right. And then the second year, he finally looked like Saquon again. So it's, that's what happens. It takes guys different times to come back from these injuries sometimes. So best wishes to Malik Neighbors as he comes back from that injury. And, our buddy ZZ hanging out in the chat said, when was the last time the Giants owned a Super Bowl contender, a momentum-changing victory? And, I mean, hey, it's been a long time. It's probably at least been since 2022 when they beat the the Vikings in the playoffs that year. But I guess
Actually, that was 2001 during the 2000 season, the NFC Championship game that happened.
no, I'm talking about the 2022 playoffs with what's his name with your former quarterback Daniel Jones when you guys beat them in the first round.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said 2002 accidentally.
Oh no, oh yeah, I meant 2022 when they beat the
Oh,
Vikings in the playoffs that
oh,
year.
oh,
How could that be the last time they won a big game like that? They've won 2 Super Bowls since then.
yeah. That was about. But anyway, I was about to say, like, yeah, that's the last time we had a big upset victory. Was
Yeah,
that one?
and you could say that year too that the Kirk Cousins was still there and still the top of his game. They had Justin Jefferson. That was a very good Minnesota Vikings team. So I would definitely say that's probably the last time the Giants had a big time win like that against a team that some people would consider a championship contender. I know there's some people watching this right now probably saying the Minnesota Vikings weren't a championship contender. Well, they still were a playoff team, had a home playoff game. They won their division. So, I mean, you could put that up there, but definitely it's been a while. So the point is valid either way. No doubt about it. I do want to give a lot of credit to the Giants defense too, Dan. They forced 2 turnovers in that game. They looked really, really good. And I got to say, the Giants defensive line might be one of the best in football. I love what they've done. They got Abdul Carter, who was hitting the quarterback every time you turned around this past Sunday. Obviously, you've got the other stalwarts on there like Burns and, any of these numbers of guys the Giants have drafted over the last couple of years to really pump up that defensive line. And obviously they traded for Burns, but he just adds to the talent that they have at those positions. So you got to give a lot of credit to this defense, Dan. And look, as a Giants fan your whole life, the one thing the Giants have, the one thing in common that you can point to for every Giants Super Bowl championship team, the 86 team, the 91 team, the 07 team, all of these teams have had legitimate championship defenses.
Yeah, I have to give credit to that. Every one of these great teams have had legitimate championship defenses, and I feel like the Giants this year are building that. They're in a step in the right direction, and I feel like they could have a really good defense down the long run, and they're gonna be a really formidable opponent when things get really good. If things really get good next year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And so the Giants are getting ready now. They're going to be playing the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. This coming up Sunday at 1 p.m. And some people might look at this and say that the Saints are an easy target for the Giants. That might be, but don't forget the Saints gave the Buffalo Bills a pretty good game last week in Buffalo. So, I'm just saying you never know. So we'll keep our eye on that. Me and Dan will give our picks on this game and the Jets game and the Sunday night game in a couple of minutes, but definitely a big time game for the Giants. Try and keep that momentum going. Okay, real quick, let's spend a couple of minutes on the Jets before we round things out here, Dan, and give our picks and everything. The Jets played the Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football, and it was just a disaster in every way you could say. The Jets went out there, and I also want to emphasize the fact that I hate bitching about the officials and officiating and these stuff and everything, but this was one of the worst, most biased officiated games of the year in the NFL, no doubt about it. The Jets got absolutely screwed multiple times. At least twice, Justin Fields got hit 5+ yards out of bounds. Braylon Allen, who took a low hit that now is going to cost him 8 to 12 weeks. No flag on that play. He also fell forward for a first down where he falls down, and then you could literally count it out. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and then a guy comes and tackles him, lands right on his back. No flag. No flag. But Tua Tagovailoa goes into a late slide with a defender midair, and the defender, what's he supposed to do? Is he magic? He's supposed to just drop out of the air and stop his forward progression? And he, kind of collides with to his helmet, and God forbid you look into his direction, flags all the way. Then they take a touchdown off the board from Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson catches a touchdown, and there was a tiny little push. You see all the best receivers in the NFL do the exact little push that Garrett Wilson did. Nobody else gets called on it. Garrett Wilson gets the flag throw. Also, another ridiculous DPI called against Sauce Gardner. So the Jets just get screwed over and over and over again. And we're supposed to just take it and eat it up and say, thank you, sir. May I have another? Now, they did themselves no favors because they always shoot themselves in the foot. As a matter of fact, running back Breece Hall said after the game, it seems like every time or in every game, the opponent shoots themselves in the foot. We climb back into the game, we come back, and then we shoot ourselves in the head. And he's 100% right. That's exactly what happens. The Jets turned the ball over 3 times in ugly fashion in this loss. Just really, really a bad job by the Jets. A terrible look for the Jets' new head coach, who was so offended a week ago when everybody was saying same old Jets. You're 0-4, bro. What do you expect? So I don't know, Dan. I don't know what else to say about this team. I wish I could say that this surprised me, but this does not surprise me at all.
Yeah. It's not surprising at all that was a complete utter disaster. You can't expect to win with throwing that many turnovers, and then of course a couple of key penalties. Just on the outside, I'm looking at this game, and man, there was just some terrible referees, and I can tell you, this is another example of why I always say, never let if you have a daughter, don't let her marry an umpire or a zebra.
Yeah, you're right about that. Especially with the umpires last night, too, in the baseball game. And there were some really, really bad calls over there. So you're definitely right about that. Everybody gets in the officiating. But, I definitely want to spend some time getting on Aaron Glenn real quick before we finish up and round things out here, Dan. Aaron Glenn, I mean, I want to love the guy. He was one of my favorite. Aside from Darrelle Revis, Aaron Glenn is probably my favorite Jet cornerback of all time. I used to love this guy when he was here. He was a big Bill Parcells guy. They're treating him like Bill Parcells Jr. And this is something that, so apparently, I think it was Joe Gibbs reached out to Aaron Glenn to impart some advice onto him. So there have been a lot of comparisons to coaches that started their careers very slowly. And I just want to point this out, right? So Joe Gibbs started his career 0-5 his first season. Chuck Noll, the famous Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, started his first season 1-13. Jimmy Johnson, the Dallas Cowboys head coach, started 1-15. And Bill Walsh, the Hall of Fame 49ers head coach, the creator of the West Coast offense, started 2-14. So Rich Cimini, the Jets lead beat writer who's been there forever, basically my entire life, has put that out there, trying to make it seem like, this is the type of thing that happens where your first year can sometimes be very trying. Now, I totally understand that. But my point is, how many of those head coaches we just named came into a job and assumed a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Hall of Fame wide receiver, cut both of them, and got nothing in return? Now, we could sit here and we can, talk about the benefits and the negatives of having Aaron Rodgers on your team and cap implications and all this nonsense that you want to talk about, and same thing with Devontae Adams. But the fact of the matter is, I'll say that Justin Fields, although he had that terrible game against the Bills and hasn't been throwing the ball that great, he hasn't been bad. So I can't sit here and say that Justin Fields is the reason why the Jets are 0-4 because he's not. I don't want to be unfair. I think Justin Fields has played decent so far. Do I think Aaron Rodgers would have played better? Probably, but it's not completely like Rodgers would have been blowing him out of the water. The thing that does really piss me off is Devontae Adams, because I hear all the people saying, "Oh, Devontae Adams, the Jets need a number 2 receiver. The Jets have another receiver. You need somebody with Garrett Wilson." It's like, yeah, that's the same thing we were saying last year. And then you gave up a 3rd-round pick for Devontae Adams and then released him for nothing. And it's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Do people forget the Jets gave up a 1st-round pick for him? So you turned around and took a guy that you gave up a 1st-round pick for and a guy that you gave up a 3rd-round pick for, and then you released them for nothing. That drives me crazy. And that's something that Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji have to wear, whether they like it or not. This team would be in a better spot with both of those people on this team. And even if you didn't want them on your team, you should have traded them for anything. Any kind of draft pick, any kind of capital, anything to improve your team. You cut them and got jack. So you're going to wear that loss. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the same thing. They shouldn't have let him go for nothing. And
Yeah.
they could have been and if they would have kept them, they might have been in a better spot.
Exactly. And even if they didn't want to keep them, trade them for something. Get a 4th-round pick. Get something that we can point to and say, you know what? The Jets might not have worked out, whatever, X, Y, and Z, but we at least when we got rid of Aaron Rodgers, we got back a 1st-round pick. At least when we got rid of Devontae Adams, we got back a 5th-round pick. Instead, they just traded. They just cut them both, took the cap penalties, and ran. That's it. Just ridiculous. Now the Jets are going to have to go out there and take on the Dallas Cowboys, trying to help out your team this week. I can't say I have much faith my Jets will help out the Giants on this one. But the Cowboys are 1-2-1. They're coming into MetLife. You know there's going to be a lot of Cowboy fans there. There always is. And they're coming in as 1.5-point favorites in this one. So what do you think about this matchup, Dan?
Yeah, I just have a scary feeling for you guys that the game's going to be a 27-17 loss.
You're saying 2017?
27-17.
Oh, 27-17. Okay. Well, we'll do our picks in a minute, and we'll definitely so I guess you're going to pick against the Jets, the 1.5-point favorites on this one. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I can't say I sit here and disagree with you. Our buddy Zizi saying Aaron Rodgers is an injury time bomb. Too old to me. I get it. I get it. And my point is with that is if you're going to move on from Rodgers, there was going to be somebody like the Pittsburgh Steelers that wanted him. Even if you were just going to trade him for a 5th-round pick or something, you got to get something. You give a 1st-round pick for the guy. That's what kills me. That's what kills me. Because as much as it annoyed me and as scared as I was of them bringing in Justin Fields, he's actually been pretty decent. So I can't kill him. And I'm not going to just for the sake of it. But how did you not get anything for both of those guys? Okay, maybe you're going to cut Rodgers. It would have still bothered me, but okay. How do you just let Devontae Adams go for nothing? It kills me. It just kills me. It's typical Jets. And with that, Dan, we'll do our picks in 1 second. I do want to just cover real quick. The Knicks opened up their preseason play this week in Abu Dhabi. Oddly enough, they beat the 76ers over there, 99-84. So the Knicks starting off with a W. Get ready to go. Can't believe it's already almost time for, obviously, if we're going to talk about in 1 second some hockey, but it's even basketball coming up, Dan. Before you know it, all 4 sports are going to be rolling.
Yeah, it's like crazy. That's going to get to that time of year where all 4 of them are going to be happening at the same time. That time of year I call the sports equinox.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. So Knicks getting off on a good note, so we still got a couple of weeks to get ready for them. They'll be opening in a couple of weeks. So shout out to the Knicks who opened things up this week. For the New York Rangers, they have one preseason game left. They played their last preseason game at the Garden yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry, I think it was in Jersey actually. And either way, they lost 3-1. Wasn't a good showing. And the thing that really hurts for the Rangers right now is that they still have not had Artemi Panarin and JT Miller. Both these guys are questionable heading into the regular season. And, Panarin suffered a lower body injury. JT Miller got banged up earlier this preseason. We haven't seen him since. So there's a lot of questions surrounding two of the Rangers' top veteran, forwards here. So, it'd be real nice if the Rangers could get these guys into the preseason finale tomorrow afternoon in Boston. But I don't know, Dan. It's starting to look like that's not going to happen.
Yeah, this is getting me a little bit nervous. All right, I can't. I've already gone through enough of this stress during baseball season. Are you going to put me through this stress early on in hockey season? Come on, guys, don't put me through this. I don't need this. I had to deal with this thing to do. I got to deal with again more me yelling at the TV and stuff again into the winter. Don't put me into this, Rangers. Please. Give me a good start going into the season. I don't need this.
I'm with you. So hopefully the Rangers can figure this out and get everything squared away with obviously the cap.
I'm gonna have to rub the belly on the grimace to make sure that this helps kind of put things good mojo on the Rangers with this situation.
That's right. And you have to find a Rangers hat for him.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on. I think actually that's something that I feel like NHL teams should do. I would love that if NHL did that, like ice cream bowls like that looks like a hockey helmets. I would love that.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
This way I could get a hold of one for the living room grimace by going to a Rangers game and get a hold of one for the living room grimace. Maybe whoever's in charge of the Garden should do that. Just a little suggestion.
That's right. And so Rangers ending this thing tomorrow against the Boston Bruins. So that'll be the end of that one. And then Dan, let's do our NFL picks for the week. Let's see. Oh, where is that? All right, here we go. So we got our Week 5 NFL picks coming up right now, Dan, and that is gonna. There we go. NFL films coming through in the clutch. Week 5 is upon us, Dan. I can't even believe we're already at Week 5 in the NFL season. It is crazy how quickly this thing goes by. It feels like it takes forever for the NFL season to get here, and then we're already in Week 5, and it feels like it just started. So, Dan, we will start off with your New York Football Giants, who are going down to the Bayou, take on the New Orleans Saints. The Giants are 1-3, coming off a big victory against the New Orleans Saints, and the Saints are actually 1.5-point favorites at home. You think maybe that a little bit of the momentum would carry over, but Vegas is saying that they think the Saints will at least be able to hold the Giants off in this one. Dan, what do you think?
I feel like this one, the Giants have this one 27-14.
So you're saying that they're going to cover then?
Yeah, exactly. I think the Giants are going to cover the spread in this one.
Okay, so Giants, Dan, you're taking the Giants in this one. I don't know. I got a feeling that the Saints are going to cover. I don't know why. I feel like that, and to be honest, I was going to pick the Giants in this game, but I was sitting there watching on NFL Network. They're doing a replay of the Bills and the Saints game, and I was sitting there watching a couple of minutes of it, and the Saints didn't really look too bad. It was kind of surprising to me how the Saints looked. I feel like they're going to up their game against the Giants on their home turf, so I feel like the Saints are going to take this one. So me and you are going head-to-head on this first matchup, Dan, as the New York Giants. Dan is taking the New York Giants, and I'm taking the New Orleans Saints. There we go. By the way, we are both 5-7 on the season. Not too great, but we could have been 6-6 if the Jets didn't screw us and just missed the cover last week on Monday Night Football. Actually, we would have gotten it if the referees didn't screw us and take that Garrett Wilson touchdown off the board too. So thanks a lot, NFL officiating. With that, Dan, let's turn our attention now to the Jets and the Cowboys. Jets and the Cowboys, 1 o'clock as well. So Jets and Giants playing at the same time on this Sunday. Cowboys 1-2-1, coming off a 40. It was a 40-40 tie in overtime this week against the Green Bay Packers, and the Jets obviously 0-4, limping into this one. Cowboys coming in. Dan, what do you think about this game?
I feel like this one's going to be like 23-13.
Cowboys?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I like how the score fluctuated. When we talked about it a couple of minutes ago, you said 27-17, but now we're doing our official picks. You're saying 23-13. So either way, you see it as a 10-point difference, but you're thinking a little bit more on the defense on this one. I don't know, man. The Cowboys have scored so many points in the early on part of this season. They're averaging over 30 points a game. It's pretty crazy if you ask me. The Jets defense is so bad. I don't see the Jets defense hanging with them. I see it being something like 35-14. I don't think the Jets are going to even come anywhere close to it. So I'm going to say Cowboys are taking this one too. So me and you are both taking the Cowboys in this one. We're on this one. And we got our buddy Zizi saying the Jets are going to win. Jerry Jones is the Cowboys albatross. Zizi, as the great Joe Beningo would say, from your lips to God's ears. I hope. There is nothing I would rather be wrong about, obviously, than the garbage season we just saw from the Mets. But there's nothing I would rather be wrong about than the Jets losing this game on Sunday. So I hope they win. I hope I'm wrong, and I will take that loss very happily. But unfortunately, I don't agree. I do think the Jets are going to lose. The defense is not there. Well, a lot of people might have their questions about Dak. He's been putting up a lot of points early. So me and Dan both going with the Cowboys on that one. And Dan, the last game we're going to be taking our picks on is the Sunday night game. And it's a big AFC East matchup on Sunday Night Football this week as the New England Patriots roll into Buffalo 2-2. Buffalo's 4-4, and Buffalo is an 8.5-point favorite in this one, Dan. Buffalo has been rolling so far this year, especially after that big Week 1 comeback against the Baltimore Ravens. But Dan, as for Week 5, what's your pick in this one?
I feel like Buffalo's going to win this like 32-17.
Okay, so Dan has the Buffalo Bills covering in this one, 8.5 point. I agree with you that I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. However, I think that the Patriots are going to keep it close. Mike Vrabel, hell of a coach. We all saw what he did in Tennessee, and even these first 4 games with the New England Patriots, the Patriots look like a much more competent team than even though they did over the last couple of years that Belichick was there. So I definitely got to give a lot of credit to Vrabel, give a lot of credit to the Patriots. I think they're going to keep it close. I think it'll be within the 8.5. So while I'm saying Buffalo wins the game outright, the Patriots will cover. So I'm taking Patriots plus 8.5 on this one. So Dan, we both take the Dallas Cowboys in the Jet game minus 1.5. You take the Giants plus 1.5 in their game against the New Orleans Saints. I'm taking the Saints minus 1.5. And we're also going head-to-head on this Patriots-Bills game where you're taking the Bills minus 8.5, and I'm taking the New England Patriots plus 8.5 on this one. So that's going to do it for our picks. That's going to do it for our show this week, Dan. And as we get ready to call it a day here, do you have anything to plug before you get out of here?
Sure, my X account, Bobo103NYC, Instagram, Bobo718DK, same username on Threads. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon where you get early access to my YouTube videos, which, by the way, my YouTube account, it's one word, Daniel Curlin, for all your Bobo content, and you get subscribe to our Patreon, you'll get early access to that, so definitely get the word out. Plus that our Patreon exclusive show on Sunday, our football, which is our football show during the football season. So you get that, and you get access to tracks I admitted, wrapping up all the action that happens in the Cup Series. So you get a nice little bit of extras, all for $5 of course of a round trip on the subways. And also, hopefully, speaking of the subway system, hopefully all you people remember to reload your fare card, your Omni card this time before this weekend, because get this, the whole system's gonna be in terms of reloading your card is gonna be shut down this whole weekend. Yeah, you can't reload your Omni card.
That's the geniuses running the. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, it's a genius. Who in the higher up on that? But yeah, you either have to pay with your credit card, you either have to do the thing with the credit card similar to your Omni card, or you gotta hope you reloaded your Omni card enough for whatever you're doing whatever trips you're going on this weekend. Like I did. I knew in case I prepared in case. But yeah, hopefully you remember to do that, because this is something unheard of. I just had to bring it up.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So so that's gonna do it for us on this edition of the show. As always, like Dan said, check out our Patreon, please. Patreon.com/Best Seat in the House podcast. It's only $5 to get in. We do a couple of bonus shows a week on there. We also throw up Bobo's Tracks I've Minute, like you said. So thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us. Like I said, patreon.com/Best Seat in the House podcast. So for my co-host, this is the Best Seat in the House podcast. This is my co-host, Daniel Bobo Curlin. I'm Rob Kramer, and we will catch you on Sunday on Patreon, but we'll be back at our regular time slot, 7 p.m. next Thursday, right here on YouTube. So everybody, have a great weekend. We'll catch you later. And as always, I don't know, I was going to say let's go Mets, but I guess let's go Jets and let's go Giants and let's go Yankees for the hell of it. Let's go.